Hello and welcome to the Commander's Quarters, your Magic the Gathering source that helps you command your budget. This show and episodes like this one are possible thanks to viewers like you. If you're looking for an easy way to help support this show, make sure that you like, share, and subscribe. Also, hit that bell notification icon so you don't miss any new episodes. You can also go check out our playmats and other merchandise at thecommandersquarters.com. Another easy way to support this show is with our TCG player affiliate links. So whether you're buying a deck or individual cards, you can use this general link right here or one in the description. And the final way that you can support this show is by supporting us directly by becoming a patron. There are many benefits to being a patron, and I truly couldn't do this without all their support. There's even a brand new Brigadier General tier where you can get a shout out on a Commander's Quarters episode that's dedicated to you. Hey everyone, Mitch coming in from the Commander's Quarters studio. Welcome to the show. So, day 2 of Innistrad Crimson Vow spoiler season is coming to a close. And I actually got through today with just 2 cups of coffee, which is actually kind of surprising because I was up really early this morning for that very first episode on Demonic Bargains. So if you haven't seen that episode, make sure you check it out to find out why you should not be sleeping on this card. And also make sure you check out my second episode from today with Alchemist Gambit, talking about that cleave mechanic, and yeah, I really like that cleave mechanic, and this card is pretty fantastic. And speaking of things that are fantastic, well, how about the brand new God of the Sea Monsters? Okay, although it is technically not a god, it basically is, okay? Anyways, Crothus, Lord of the Deep, make sure you check that episode out because, yeah, it is quite a spicy one. But this episode is not about a sea monster, but a different kind of monster with a, well, monstrous dragon. Okay, I probably shouldn't say monstrous because that's actually a mechanic. It's just a dragon that is quite fantastic and quite worthy of being a mythic. So what exactly is this dragon and what does it do? Well, let's jump into it to find out. So Manaform Hellkite is a 4/4 dragon with flying that costs 2 red. It says whenever you cast a non-creature spell, create an XX red dragon illusion creature token with flying and haste for X the amount of mana spent to cast that spell. Exile that token at the beginning of the next end step. So a 4/4 flyer for 4 mana, well, that's already, pretty much on par with what you should expect these days. And yeah, obviously on top of that, you get a massive effect. Whenever you cast any non-creature spell, again, most of the time that's probably going to be instant sorceries, but that also counts artifacts, enchantments, and yes, even planeswalkers. And yeah, every time you do that and cast that non-creature spell, you're getting a dragon illusion with flying and haste, so yeah, it's evasive and you can attack right away with it, which is good actually because it goes away. Regardless, it's going to be an XX for X amount of mana that you spent to cast it, so if you're casting some really big spells, these are some massive dragons that are flying through. So most of the time, again, you're going to be able to get those flyers through on at least one opponent, so that's basically just free extra damage based on the size of your non-creature spells. I mean, Wizards has been getting into the, what I would call a bad habit lately of leaning on things like only triggers once a turn or whatnot, but yeah, that's definitely not on this mythic. There is no such restriction on this card, so yeah, cast a ton of non-creature spells, or some big non-creature spells most likely, and yeah, just dish out a ton of damage with your dragons. Again, those tokens are temporary, but actually, we'll talk about a way to make them not so temporary and other ways to kind of make the most of them as well. So yeah, this is most definitely a fantastic mythic and a card that can fit in a good amount of decks out there and dish out, well, a lot of pain. But first up, I definitely want to talk about a card that this one very much reminded me of and talk about the similarities and differences and just kind of how each of them play. And that card would be another mythic with Metallurgic Summonings. And actually, although this is a mythic, it was recently reprinted in C21, and because of that, it is actually now budget friendly. So yeah, I'm really happy about that. That being said, I highly doubt Manaform Hellkite is going to be budget friendly, at least not for the time being. Regardless, again, let's talk about the similarities between that and this. Metallurgic Summonings is an enchantment for 3 blue that says whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, create an XX colors construct artifact creature token where X that spell's mana value. And also you can exile this to go get your, instant sorceries back from your graveyard. That's not the comparable point. But whereas the new dragon makes flying hasty dragon illusions that are temporary, this one makes, well, not flying, not hasty constructs, but they are permanent. On top of that, again, keep in mind that this one only counts instants and sorceries, and yeah, that's probably going to be like the kind of big payoff for the dragon as well, for, some massive instant sorceries. But obviously, you're going to get some additional value out of just making dragon tokens whenever cast even a mana rock, or an enchantment, or yes, even a planeswalker. But yeah, Metallurgic Summonings is a very powerful card, and obviously so is our brand new Mythic Dragon. And yeah, obviously that dragon can definitely dish out pain a lot quicker because those dragons are going to have haste and flying, so yeah, they can probably get through on at least one opponent, and they can do it right away. Regardless, obviously both are very effective cards, and actually let's talk about some more cards that can actually make this new dragon even more impactful. So actually the very first thing I thought about when I saw this brand new dragon was, it would be really fun, casting a mana geyser, and then casting a massive spell, and then utilizing your brand new dragons to, well, probably take out an opponent. Mana Geyser is of course a sorcery that says add red for each tap land your opponents control. And yeah, in a multiplayer format like Commander, this is going to give you an absurd amount of mana. So yeah, first up, just by casting this again, yes, it is a non-creature spell being a sorcery, you're getting a 5/5 Dragon Illusion with flying and haste. You're also again getting a ton of red mana that you can then use to dump into a spell like, I don't know, maybe Earthquake or Comet Storm or Commune with Lava. Earthquake is going to deal X damage to each creature without flying and each player. So wipe out essentially every single ground creature on the board, and also make yourself a massive flyer with, haste that you're just going to swing out with right away. On top of all that damage that you just did to every player, yes, including yourself, but you know what, that's okay. You've got some dragons to dish out even more pain and probably take out a player or two. And of course, obviously in red, you've got plenty of these X damage spells, like also Comet Storm that, has multi-kicker 1. You can basically deal X damage to a certain number of targets. And yeah, have fun with that. Or maybe you can just, save for later turns with Commune with Lava and just dump a ton of mana into that, exile the top X cards of your library until the end of your next turn you can play those cards. So yeah, again, cast your massive ritual spell like Mana Geyser, dump it all into a giant Commune with Lava or other X spell, and then have fun swinging with some giant, hasty flying dragons. It just sounds like a lot of fun. And also, obviously, if you have a deck that's going to want this dragon that's got more than, just red, probably, it might be a, red-blue deck. If you're, chucking around some big instants and sorceries, you're going to want to run things like, Blue Sun Zenith and, yeah, Treasure Cruise to just make massive dragons and draw a lot of cards. Blue Sun Zenith says target player draws X card, shuffle into its owner's library, so yeah, if you get it back, you can do it again and make another giant dragon. On top of drawing a ton of cards as well. And yeah, Treasure Cruise might cost 7 in a blue, but it's got Delve, so yeah, in a game like Commander, you can probably just cast this for 1 mana, and you're gonna draw 3 cards, so Ancestral Recall, but again with that same 8 converted mana cost, making you a massive 8/8 Dragon Illusion with flying and haste. So yeah, on top of X spells, obviously this new dragon can also benefit from cards that might have Delve, or maybe Affinity, etc, etc. Things that reduce the cost of a massive card. But next up, let's talk about some cards that can help us benefit even more from making those dragon tokens. First up, I want to talk about some enchantments that can really help us out, and again, keep in mind that yes, these non-creature spells, being enchantments, can also make dragons when we cast them. See, on top of Berserker's Onslaught giving us a 5/5 Dragon Illusion, if, our brand new dragon's already on the field, attacking creatures we control are going to have double strike. So yeah, even let's just say Manaform Hellkite is on the battlefield and we have nothing else. We cast this. We get a 5/5 Dragon Illusion with flying and haste. We swing with, our 4/4 and our 5/5, and attacking creatures we control have double strike, so we're dishing out 4 + 5 + 4 + 5, 18 damage? And obviously Berserker's Onslaught is going to help us a lot more throughout the game just being in play. Again, Manaform Hellkite is going to dish out 8 damage on attack, and then, yeah, every single time we essentially cast a non-creature spell, we're going to be dishing out twice as much damage. And speaking of dishing out damage, we have to talk about Warstorm Surge. It's an enchantment for 6, so again, yay, 6/6 dragon with flying and haste. And of course, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, deals damage equal to its power to any target. So now on top of getting that dragon, based off of that non-creature spell's converted mana cost whenever we cast one, we're also dishing out damage equal to that spell's converted mana cost. that can add up to be a lot throughout the game, and this can easily help us take out, of course, creatures and, planeswalkers, and especially players. And of course, if you've got a dragon deck that you put this new dragon card in, some dragon cards gonna help you, like Dragon Tempest, Scourge of Valkis, and Terror of the Peaks. Dragon Tempest says, whenever a dragon enters the battlefield under your control, deals X damage to target creature or player, X the number of dragons you control. And then Scourge of Valkis is basically the exact same thing. It says, whenever it or another dragon enters the battlefield under your control, it deals X damage to target creature or player, X the number of dragons you control. And then Terror of the Peaks, unfortunately, is nowhere near a budget card at this point. It is a $25 card, I believe, last time I checked. But yeah, if you've already got this card, or you're looking to spend a lot of money on a dragon deck, this is a fantastic one to spend it on. It says, whenever another creature enters the battlefield under your control, Terror of the Peaks deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target. Kind of like a dragon version of Warstorm Surge. And yeah, if you are running a dragon deck, Crucible of Fire can really help you out too. It says dragon creatures you control get +3/+3, so basically now, whenever, are just casting those non-creature spells, basically add 3 to that cost because, not in paying, but in the power and toughness that you're going to be getting, because yeah, if you cast a 4-mana non-creature spell like this one, you are getting essentially a 7/7 dragon with flying and haste. So yeah, again, Manaform Hellkite can really help you dish out the pain very quickly. But now that we talked about some cards that work really well with this new card, let's talk about some commanders that might want it in the 99 of their decks. And the first one that I want to highlight is Obeka Brute Chronologist, which has tap the player whose turn it is may end the turn. So yeah, thanks to Obeka, you can essentially say, you know what, those dragon tokens are actually sticking around. So yeah, have fun with that. And speaking of having fun, things that are going to be fun for you and probably not your opponents, how about Neheb the Eternal? Neheb has at the beginning of your post-combat main phase, add red to your mana pool for each 1 life your opponents have lost this turn. So yeah, cast your Earthquake again for a good amount of mana, dish out a lot of damage to your opponents. While you're doing that, also, obviously, you're going to make a big dragon with flying and haste to dish out even more damage to get you even more mana for Neheb. Have fun. Or, how about you just double up those triggers on your new dragon and make even more dragons with Varen, Voice of Duality. Varen has, if you cast or copying an instant or sorcery spell causes a triggered ability of a permanent you control to trigger, that ability triggers initial time. Basically, Varen is a Spell Harmonicon commander, and yeah, that is incredibly deadly with Manaform Hellkite. Next up, another commander that might want to consider this new card is Zafai Thunder Conductor. Zafai benefits you heavily from casting really big instant sorceries, so yeah, the bigger one that you cast, the more benefits you get, and the bigger the dragon you get with Manaform Hellkite too. And speaking of big dragons, well, okay, with Vadrik, it's going to be a game-ending large dragon. Or dragons, you're probably going to be able to cast multiple large spells in a turn with this. In fact, you're definitely going to be able to. Vadrik can actually grow throughout the game on its own when things switch between day and night, but let's be honest, you've got other ways to grow them a lot quicker. And Vadrik says, instant sorcery spells you cast cost X less to cast for X's Vadrik power, so basically you just cast a spell that essentially doubles up Vadrik's power, then you cast another one that does that, and another one that does that, and you're essentially just doing this for basically no mana, because again, it reduces the cost of your instant sorceries, and then, you just keep getting massive dragons, and your opponents are very, 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 very dead. And the final commander that I do want to bring up is the Dragon, and yeah, obviously, this being a very powerful dragon, it could fit into a, dragon tribal deck, but I do want to caution players on this. This isn't just the kind of dragon that you're just like, oh, it's a good dragon, I'm just going to throw it in my dragon tribal deck. It's only for, specific dragon decks, I guess I should say. If you've got an Dragon deck or another dragon tribal deck that is essentially just all dragons and not really many non-creature spells, you probably shouldn't be including, a dragon that really cares about non-creature spells in that deck. I guess with the Dragon, it's still a 4/4 flyer for 3 mana, which is, nice, but there's a lot more powerful things that you can do with Dragon and a lot more powerful dragons for that kind of a deck if it's just built around a ton of dragons and not really any non-creature spells. Regardless, that is my take on Manaform Hellkite, and yeah, I think this is definitely a Mythic Dragon that lives up to the Mythic name. This thing can dish out a ton of damage incredibly quickly in the right deck, and yeah, there are ways to take even more advantage of the dragons that it makes, whether again that's, dishing out damage right away with Warstorm Surge, or making them, doubly as effective on attack with a Berserker's Onslaught or something like that, or, just keeping them around with, Obeka, because why not? And with that, the show has come to a close, so it's my turn here from you. So the comments below, let me know your thoughts on this episode are, and as always, thanks again and have a good one.